is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dub. And with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Oh, JJ Wang, we are at Memorial Day weekend. So before we go any farther, everybody take a moment this weekend just to remember all those that sacrificed for our country. It's a great weekend to remember just the sacrifice people make. Sounds like a downer, but I think it's the pride they show for it. Because I mean, no greater love has a man than to lay down his life for his friend. You know, it's pretty powerful stuff. So amazing weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, man. If anybody's going to dedicate their time for that and enjoy and be happy that they do it, I mean, I always say when I was in the military, I'm probably the last person you want probably fighting for you at this point. But I mean.
Because you're 130 pounds dripping wet. They could blow you over.
I wasn't as motivated kind of like back then as I was later on. But yeah, kudos to everybody. I mean, it's amazing.
So I just take some power measure, cooking, swimming, whatever you're doing. My wife started cleaning out our little backyard pool this morning. So I told the kids that I'm not touching it. I'm not a swimming guy. I'm indifferent to it. But I got to mow.
I'm not a big swimmer either. But honestly, to be fair, I don't really enjoy being out in the sun when it gets that hot. I'm kind of anti-sun, so.
Oh, you should come hang out at this house. Like last year, I loved this. Like I didn't think the summer was hot because I went out and just did things like piddling around outside. And I think now that I got the chickens and I'll go outside and I'll work out in the middle of the day because I lose more weight that way. And I'll have a heat stroke one day. All the exercise people are freaking out. Like what?
Yeah, I'm more of an inside guy. I'm not gonna lie. I can't say I really enjoy being outside, but I mean it has moments, I guess.
So we got Casper, the friendly JJ Wang over there, and Heatstroke DJ Dove on this side over here as we're heading into the summer. But as you're going in, we are featured on Fantasy Turf Wars coming up mid-June into July. We'll be on there where they're loading up teams. I've posted some stuff in our link, but fantasyturfwars.com just opened up. If you, by chance, anybody's around there and has a small podcast or business they want to promote, they're looking for just a couple more teams to fill in our 64-team challenge. That's going to be kind of – I'm curious where this is headed. Like, I don't know too much going yet. I know the goal is to promote, like, businesses and podcasts and things and just to be a fun fantasy thing. And he said he's excited to hopefully one day to come on the show once they get things settled on their side. But I got our interview set, and we're ready to go.
The fact that you can find 64 people is pretty impressive to me. If I tried to go out, it would take me like 7 years to find 64 people that would be willing to do something with me.
It's the power of the interweb, man. You're on, like, sometimes on Facebook. I was talking to a guy about how to figure out some algorithms. I'm gonna fiddle with some this summer, but it's sometimes you could post a gajillion things, no one will see you, but then there's different tricks that people teach you, like how you approach it. And he's hitting some things, and you just got to reach out. Like he hit me up, seeing our podcast, and he's like, "Man, there's that handsome guy with long hair." I said, "Oh, it must be me," because JJ Wang cut his locks.
I know that already.
So, yeah, y'all probably don't want to hear us yuck it up. We're talking football last week. If you want to go back and listen to the JJ Wang special AFC teams, this week is going to be all about the NFC. JJ Wang's going to lead us through some NFC teams, and we're going to talk about what our thoughts are on them because we're at rookie minicamps. We're at OTAs, so some people are going in, some people are getting contracts. My boy Tua probably will get paid soon. Or not get paid. Who knows? Like, you don't want him to get paid, but in this environment, he's
definitely getting paid.
And the question is, other than your disdain for Tua, you're a team and you got a player. You say Jared Goff got $50 million. Based upon the concussions, how much less would a concussion? Let's say Joe Burrow is the same person or whatever. You know, I mean, Tua was the leading passing yards guy. He's top 3 in the pass in efficiency and all that good stuff. But if there were no concussions, he'd be making 56 easily. With the concussions, where would you think a team? Would you think he'd be down like 45? I mean, I think he gets 50, but you think 45?
I mean, I don't think he gets any less than Jared Goff. I think at this point, I mean, I don't see how it goes on. I don't see how any quarterback goes under 50. You know, if you're one of those top 12 guys, everybody's going to be asking for that amount for the next 2 or 3 years before everybody's starting to hit 60, because that's just what's going to happen. Yeah. But I would rather have Jared Goff. I'd pay Jared Goff more money than I would pay Tua. So I mean, if Jared Goff was worth 50, I would give Tua 48. I was like, man, you're not as good as Goff. You haven't accomplished what Goff has accomplished. I
That
think
being said,
that's.
what do you think he gets? Does he get 55, 54?
I think he gets. I think he probably ends up getting a little more than what Jared Goff got.
Well, the next one's always bigger, right? No matter who it is, yeah. How it grows.
Doesn't make any sense, and until these owners are willing to say, "I'm not going to pay you," it's just going to keep getting out of control, and they're not going to say that.
And I realized we forgot the NFL schedule was released. Man, we're slackers. So take a look at your team. Now you can look. I mean, it doesn't matter, but you can look at the beginning of the year because who knows? Mid-year last year, who would have thought some of these teams were juggernauts and some of these teams were total poo? There's a couple teams you look at and you're like, I'm not too worried about the Broncos. Okay, so look at where they are. And we'll talk about them as we get into the offseason during some of the dead months. But look at the schedules. There's a couple games on Netflix on Christmas Day. There's a ton of games overseas, and luckily my team doesn't play overseas this year. And apparently the Jets only play in primetime because they feel like Aaron Rodgers owes the league and NFL something because he got hurt on purpose, right?
So unless the NFL starts airing on Peacock, which is the only one that I get anymore because I can also get wrestling. That's more important to me as far as streaming goes. I won't be watching any of these games on these streaming systems. So I think it's. I know that's eventually they're all probably going to be there, but I think it's a kind of a pain in the butt. I don't want to sound like an old curmudgeon, but I'd rather go back to just watching the 4 games a week on Fox and CBS instead of having to pay 7 different streaming services for games.
I mean, what's happening though, if you look at them now, like they were supposed to be cheaper than cable, is they're starting to bundle. So I've seen, is ESPN doing something with Max? And I mean, there's a bunch of them that are starting to do some of those like super bundles that they are working on. So that's.
I mean, yeah, the streaming service itself is cheaper than cable, but the streaming service itself doesn't offer you everything that you want. So you got to end up buying multiple streaming services, and it's just the same as cable. So I mean, it ends up being the same. Plus, you're still paying for a little bit of cable too, and you got to pay for the internet. So I mean, none of it is cheaper.
YouTube TV is my favorite so far. So it's.
Yeah, I mean, I got YouTube TV too. It's great, but I mean, it's still technically it's still the cable system. I mean, you're still paying $60 for internet, and then or whatever you're paying for internet, and then you're paying the $70 for the YouTube TV. So it comes out you're still paying the same amount for to watch cable TV.
Yeah. And wow, Liv Morgan is the new women's champion. Anyway.
Yes, I see that.
So let's jump into football. Enough about our cable woes and us being broke because we have too much cable. Like we're at the point, by the way, that we're going to start. Last note of cables, we're going to start like quarterlying it or something because I can't watch 30 of these and you can't share them anymore. So we got to live by the rule of the land.
Yeah. So we'll start with the NFC questions this week. This involves my team. I put that in quotations, and that's where we'll start out first. I'll start with the Dallas Cowboys. It's been a lot of like weird stuff. They said they were going to go in big, but they really haven't done much. They got a lot of contracts coming up. These guys are going to be spending a lot of money, and Jerry Jones likes to spend money on his own guys, so we know they're all going to get paid. But a guy that he let go and now is back, Ezekiel Elliott. Does Ezekiel Elliott return to like a top 12 Cowboy running back like he has been in the past? Now, his last season in Dallas, he wasn't that guy. I think he finished around 20th. But for some reason, I can just see Zeke Elliott falling in the end zone like 18, 19 times and ends up being like the running back 11. What say you?
I mean, I was going to give him close to what he had. I was thinking 800 some odd yards and 15 touchdowns. But that's what he had when he was there last time. But the difference was in 2022, he only had 17 catches. But last year he caught 51 balls in New England. And nope, I mean, are they going to say, "Hey, Rico Dowdle, here, take the ball over Zeke, who's coming back on it"? Zeke's there for $1 million. Like he's playing with house money. They're playing with house money, I guess, and Dak loves him, so he's gonna be. I think his receptions are gonna be what gets him back up in there. Could he? Yeah. Would I put him more in the probably 13 to 15, 13 to 16 range, like right outside at RB1? Yeah. But could he get 20 touchdowns and be right there in the top 12? Totally see it as fathomable. But if the receptions are what they were in New England, he'll rise. Like he'll get back in there. I think that's the big difference.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that last season they were preparing Tony Pollard to be that guy, and then Tony Pollard really wasn't that guy. So Zeke might fall right back into that spot. Let's go to the Washington Commanders. New regime, new owners, new quarterback. So this is kind of like the New England Patriots. I mean, you can't say it's the same old team because it's now the Patriots got the same owner, but everything else is different. So you can't say it's the same old Commanders. It's completely different. So with the new quarterback Jalen Daniels coming in, they got the veteran Terry McLaurin. So the last 2 seasons he's finished wide receiver 14, wide receiver 28. He is getting closer to 30. And then you got John Dawson, who's never finished inside the top 50. He's been right outside, but he's been a kind of a fan favorite. So is McLaurin still the guy, and does he finish inside the top 20?
I mean, who else do they have? Look, Jamison Crowder apparently is back with the team. I mean, if you look at this hodgepodge of receivers, it's De'Ami Brown, Mitchell Tinsley, and those 2 guys. So unless the Commanders don't throw to anybody, McLaurin is easily viable. Did you say top 12 or top 24?
Top 20.
Top 20. Yeah, 17-6. I mean, receivers score so many points these days anyway. But I mean, the way Jahan Dawson's playing, unless he has that giant breakout, they got to throw to somebody. I mean, I think we both think that the tight ends they might both have a little bit of value, like initially, and they're going to look at it. This is an old official depth chart, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm seeing Dawson rise up a little bit. I don't think Terry can be like a top 15. I mean, Terry's always been a fan favorite as well. He's always been kind of that guy, but he's never really been that guy. I mean, he's just been kind of a guy. So I kind of see Terry falling in like that 24-ish range, and then maybe Dotson's jumping up to the top 36 with both of their days. Let's go over to the New York Giants. I'm just going to ask you one question. Is there anybody you want?
Is there anybody on the New York Giants? Oh, I missed Luke McCaffrey. Sorry about that on my last one.
Let me rephrase that. Is there anybody that's going to be relevant on this team?
Yeah, I got one guy. Devin Singletary. Bad teams let running backs run. Devin Singletary played – I mean, he was on a great team last year, and he overtook Pierce, who was supposed to be their starting running back. Devin Singletary had those couple of times, and he would disappear in Buffalo. But Devin Singletary is still playing. They paid him to play. We're all hot. We're in the new hotness of the rookies, but there's a couple rookies in there. And Devin Singletary is the guy they paid, and that's who their money flows. And then in Dynasty, of course, you want neighbors, but who knows what he's going to do this year. And I'm still willing to take a dart throw on the quarterback. I mean, if you wait on quarterbacks in Superflex, I would throw both of those guys into my roster. Start with Tyrod and then let it go into to Danny Dimes. Why not? I mean, it doesn't hurt that you can dump them if they're total garbo, but it's Devin Singletary, and then depends how deep your benches are.
Yeah, I think you could give a shot on Singletary, but I'm not sure how long that shot would last. I mean, if he's got 2 weeks in and he's not playing very well, I mean, it might be time to move on. And yeah, you mentioned neighbors. I'm just not sure if this is going to be the year that he kind of busts out. I mean, you might see bright spots, but I'm not sure you're going to see a whole bunch of them. Yeah. Let's go to the Eagles. The Eagles totally fell apart at the end of last season. So we got their wide receivers. We got Devonta Smith. The last 3 seasons, he's been wide receiver 29, wide receiver 9, and then wide receiver 19. And then we have A.J. Brown, who's been the guy there in Philadelphia. But the second half of last season was not good at all.
I know.
So are we seeing maybe Devonta Smith start to take over more of that wide receiver 1 role, or is it still A.J. Brown?
I think they're a 1A, 1B. I think A.J. Brown will be slightly ahead of him just because of the size in the end zone prowess, whereas PPR, that's how Devontae Smith catches up because he's more of the, he's the move kind of guy. And I just, I think they're fairly close. Like I wouldn't, like I haven't done rankings. I think last year I even had them fairly. I think we both talked about having them fairly close, having the Miami guys fairly close. But I think the Miami guys aren't that close this year. I think because Tyreek could be argued for wide receiver one in some circles because of the numbers he'll put up if he's healthy. But I just AJ Brown, I would say yes. The short answer is I think he's just slightly. Like I'm talking one or two places up because I mean they're gonna throw the ball. Jalen Hurts though. I might have to lower. I think he might be lower on my rankings this year because I think they're going to look. This is our money right here. Let's kill Saquon, and I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think that's probably what ends up happening. He kind of took a tumble. It's kind of like with everybody else last year. With the addition of Saquon, you gave him the money. You've got to use him. So the running plays have to come from somewhere. So I think there'd be less design runs, less tush pushes, or whatever you want to call it. All right, let's move to the NFC South. Let's start with the Falcons. The big move, they got Kirk Cousins. We don't know how healthy he is. He got injured. They got Penix. But I still want to bring up Kyle Pitts. With Kirk Cousins coming in, is this the year Kyle Pitts finds his way?
It's the year he has to. I don't know if he does. We've said this every year. This is the game we play every year. On the team, this is the year Drake London finds his way. This is the year Bijan is going to really break out. Kyle Pitts should, but we said that last year, and Jonnu Smith looked better. So who's going to be better this year? Charlie Warner, Ross Dwelly's there, some kid named John Fitzpatrick. Are those going to be the better tight ends? And Kyle Pitts is just going to be Captain
Probably
Machine?
They will.
I mean, John Fitzpatrick, write the name down. Maybe he'll be a surefire waste of a touchdown come September, but he should be. But with Kyle Pitts' record, I'm going to say no. I think he is, but no, because he just hasn't shown it. I mean, you got the stretch field, Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore he can be in the areas where Kyle Pitts is. That's what Rondale Moore does, right? Like he's that short zone kind of guy. So he could be their sneaky guy they got that you might throw at the end of a bench for wide receiver 3. I mean, he had a couple games over in Arizona, but Kyle Pitts, Rondale Moore has shown more than Kyle Pitts. He had the rookie numbers in the yardage, but that's it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be his year either. But I'm hoping. Let's go to New Orleans. We got Chris Olave. So we know we got David Carr, Derek Carr, whichever Carr it is. I'm not really sure. I always seem to mess up.
I always get it wrong. It's Derek, I think.
Yeah. So he wasn't great last year, but he's always been okay. So Chris Olave, we got wide receiver 25 as a rookie, wide receiver 16 last year. So there's been progression. Do we see him as a top 12 wide receiver coming up by the end of this year?
Can I ask you a question, then I'll give an answer?
Yep.
Where do you see Nico Collins versus Chris Olave? How far apart are those two guys? I had a discussion recently.
I don't think they're overly far apart. I think Olave is is on the front, like closer to the top 12. And then Nico's probably closer to the bottom 20 or the 20.
Even with Stephon Diggs, I don't think Nico changes. But I was having a discussion with some trades and things. And I was like, I couldn't do it because they're asking too much. And Nico is part of it. And I was like, Chris Olave is a great player. The question was, is it the year he breaks out? I mean, he's got nobody else really. Rashid Shaheed's the hot name there, right? So, yeah, he should. I think a guy to keep an eye on is A.T. Perry, who started to come on a little bit towards the end of the year last year. But Olave is superior. He's got great talent. He's those Ohio State receivers. They're really good. So he should be, once Spencer Rattler gets in there, he'll be top notch, and he'll be a top 10 receiver. It'd be funny if this happened, but that would be hilarious. Tongue-in-cheek comment, but he should be. I mean, I could totally see him coming up. His third year, he's a stellar receiver. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I think he can flirt with the top 12. I'm not sure how high the ceiling can be just because of you got Derek Carr there at quarterback. But, yeah, I think he can definitely flirt. Let's move over to the Buccaneers. I think there's only one guy here, and that's Mike Evans, the 30-year-old magnificent Hall of Fame wide receiver. He's been a top 10 wide receiver pretty much his whole career. Being at age 30, the year he came off last year, Baker Mayfield coming back, is there any reason to believe that Mike Evans is outside the top 10? And would you be trying to buy him if you were trying to win a championship here?
I won't have him on any redraft teams. I think he's going to go too high because he was too good last year. Mike Evans is an amazing player.
Well, let's forget, but let's speak dynasty.
I've got him. That's my problem. I've got him in dynasty. So dynasty, if you're a win now, I could see. I don't know if he can do what he did last year. Last year was so good. I mean, it's him and Baker returning. He should do what he does last year. Chris Godwin could finally score some touchdowns. I mean, secretly, Chris Godwin had 1,000 yards last year. I don't get it. I thought he was terrible last year. He had 1,024 yards. I noticed that when I was talking to some guy recently. I was like, man, I thought Chris Godwin had a terrible year. He still got 1,000 yards, which everybody does, but still. But he's got to put up – his numbers were touchdowns. Touchdowns are he had 13 touchdowns last year. So
he does score touchdowns.
Yeah. So he does. So as long as the touchdowns stay there, he should be. But if I had him and I wasn't in a super win now, I'd sell him so quick. If I'm in a super win now, I think what he signed 2 years? 3 years.
Yeah.
I forget. But I think you got a good 2 years out of him. I don't know if it'll be as good as last year. It'll still be a good.
Yeah, last year 13 touchdowns last year would be hard to repeat. But I mean, if Baker Mayfield loves the guy, loves to sling it deep, and Mike Evans is always deep. So
I love Baker. Chris Evans had 2 touchdowns. Chris Godwin had 2 touchdowns, so that's got to go.
Yeah, let's go to Carolina. The only thing here we got Bryce Young. Now Carolina did add some young rookies. They added the running back Jonathan Brooks, wide receiver Xavier Legette. They did add Deontay Johnson. So the offense does look better. Does Bryce Young rebound? He was QB 23 last year. It doesn't sound great, but I mean, he was still a QB 2 at the end of the season with a really bad team. Adam Thielen is number 1. The running game was garbage. So with the addition of these younger guys, Deontay Johnson, does Bryce Young flirt with the top 15 quarterbacks?
The number I was going to say was 17. Like I'm on the buy Bryce Young in Dynasty because he's cheap. And it seems like, last year he was throwing to us some bags of potatoes. This year, I love Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson is a target machine. And unless they're stupid, he's going to keep getting targets. And then Xavier Legette is jumping in. He looks like a good prospect jumping. I mean, Adam Thielen still could catch 600 yards and 6 touchdowns, and that's great for wide receiver 3. Get Legette up in there, and you got, Rashad Penny's on that team, so they're going to win everything now, tongue in cheek. But we'll see what happens when Jonathan Brooks comes back. We're both Benson guys. We think Benson will be better than Brooks. We know this running back class isn't super. I like Chuba, and it'll be interesting to see if Chuba overtook the guy they paid, Miles Sanders, because he sucked. Who's to say Chuba wasn't better than? I don't know, but I like where they're going. Are they still going to be terrible? Oh yeah, they're going to be a horrible team. But I like that they gave Bryce Young something to do and somebody, and hopefully he has time. And he's learning from Andy Dalton, which I think is really good for him, because Andy Dalton's been around for so long, and he's won. He hasn't won it all, but he's been solid. So I think it's healthy for him to grow.
Yeah, I like the way they're going. I mean, they already look better than they did last year, and that's a good place to start. Whether it works out, who knows? Well, as long as they look better, as long as it looks like they're trying, that's all we can ask for.
Did you see the meme? Did you see the meme that it's like $635 for season tickets to the Panthers, which is cheaper than having cable for a year and getting the NFL Sunday ticket? It's crazy. Anyway,
I'd rather pay the cable and Sunday ticket. I don't even like the Sunday ticket. Let's go over to the NFC North. We'll go to the Chicago Bears. Of course, they drafted Caleb Williams number 1 overall. So is Caleb Williams C.J. Stroud, or is Caleb Williams Bryce Young from last year? Just
right. Oh, from last year, yeah. He's in between. I can't. Everybody knows I'm not a Caleb Williams guy, but the kid's athletic. I'm not reading anything. Everybody's reading this week. Caleb Williams overthrew. Well, yeah, but he didn't throw the interceptions. Yeah, he threw 7 whole balls. He threw 7 balls. Whoop-de-doo. That's all he threw. And I just don't see how he doesn't succeed. I think C.J. Stroud was good because of C.J. Stroud. And I loved C.J. Stroud coming in. Caleb Williams, I don't love him coming in, but my goodness. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, and DeAndre Swift and Cole Kmet are right there for you. I think you and I could be a top 40 quarterback throw into those guys because we'd get hurt for the other 15 games. But I really do like it. I mean, and for Scott, he's got Dante Pettis. Now he's got to listen to our podcast. But I just think with that starting lineup, barring significant injuries, if he fails, he is purple Kool-Aid dude from a couple years ago, from the Raiders, from LSU.
Jamarcus Russell.
He's Jamarcus Russell, because that Jamarcus Russell was throwing the ball from his knees 60 yards, supposed to be the greatest thing in the world, and then he sucked.
Yeah, so was Kyle Bowler.
Oh, Kyle. Well, he was from California, so I knew he was bad. But yeah, I really do like. I would try to nab some shares of him because in two quarterback especially, because how do you not like? I just don't see how he fails unless he's a nincompoop. Which
yeah, I mean, I think they've set him up for complete success. I mean, he's surrounded by a bunch of like NFL professionals that that are positive, not that aren't bad guys. So yeah, I think he's closer to C.J. Stroud than he would be Bryce Young from last year. I think the ceiling is definitely there. Let's go to the Green Bay Packers. I think the only question mark they have is at wide receiver. We know Josh Jacobs is a great running back. I like Jordan Love. I think you like Jordan Love. We're pretty sure that he maintained that what he's been doing. Who is your pick as the wide receiver one in Green Bay?
Haven't we asked this question like 7 times in the offseason? And almost every 7 times, it's different.
It changes for me. Yeah,
for me, it's not. I don't see a wide receiver one. Like if I had to bet money, I would pull something out of left field, like because I'd make more money. Because they got all wide receiver twos. Like Christian Watson's a great receiver, but he's always hurt. Romeo Doubs disappears. Jaden Reed, he's smaller and he's more, so he can't take over. I like Dontavian Wicks, but he's their 4th wide receiver. So I don't think they have one. I think they're going to be that team that never really has one. So I think they're all within 50 yards of each other, and I'll give Wicks the advantage to get his 775 yards. And he's from UVA, so wahoo, wahoo. But I mean, if Watson's healthy all year, it's probably Watson, right?
That's what I was going to say. I mean, if you can't guarantee it, but I think if Watson would happen to play all the games, he would be the guy. And then after that, I think like I said, Wicks has just as much chance as the other 3 to be the wide receiver because it's just going to be so up and down. They're going to be so hit or miss that I think it's just going to be hard to trust.
Reads so much gadget stuff that you got to hope.
Yeah.
Gadget stuff to get there. I mean, he's still at 94 targets, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Detroit, everybody's favorite team, the talk of all the NFL. They're signing everybody. They signed Jared Goff. They signed Amon-Ra St. Brown. They signed Penei Sewell. So the offense is, locked in. Jameson Williams is evidently going to be looking good. But I want to go to running back. We got Jahmyr Gibbs, who was RB10 last year. Kind of surprising that he was that high. But then we bring in Bijan, who was RB9, which was, I want to say maybe a little depressing. You kind of expected more. But the way the season turned out, their team they had bad quarterback play. It's hard to trust anything like that. But overall, his season was pretty good. I think he can only get better. So is Bijan still over Gibbs? Or I know you're a Gibbs guy. Or are you taking Gibbs here?
I got them both on one team. I want them both to be a stellar show. I mean, if I had to pick one, I'd pick Bijan mainly because Bijan doesn't have the Montgomery problem, right?
That's true.
But then again, I mean, how many years Jahmyr Gibbs is Alvin Kamara. David Montgomery is I just lost his name. The other running back for the Saints. Anyway, you lost him to Mark Ingram. So David Montgomery is Ingram.
I didn't even know who you were talking about, so I don't know.
So they're running the old Saints backfield with great receivers. This is the old Saints team. If you look at it, this is how the Saints ran when they won the Super Bowl. So Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, let's say he's never going to run a lot. I mean, I think he had 945 yards last year. Do you ever think he tops that as long as David Montgomery's there? Is it good for him?
I think he can top.
Think he gets 1,000? I mean, I think he only had 316 yards receiving. I think he could flip those numbers. Like, I think his receiving yards could go up he had 52 receptions. Like, I could see him flirting with 75, maybe hitting 500 receptions, and he only had 1 receiving touchdown. All of his touchdowns were the other way. So I think that makes his ceiling – I think his ceiling might be higher than Bijan, but Bijan's safer because he's getting 100% of the work. They'll throw in they'll throw in Tyler Algier, but he's not a threat. Whereas
Yeah, I
David,
don't know.
is a threat.
I'm not sure Gibbs' ceiling could be higher than Bijan. Like I think Bijan's the workhorse running back. I think he's more of like more along the lines of the early Saquon Barkley type. I don't think Gibbs can reach that. But then again, I think Gibbs could reach Alvin Kamara level. So I mean,
He was top three. He was
they
like,
can get there in several. But both these guys can get there in several different ways. But if I was picking one, I think I'd still go Bijan as well.
yeah, it's
Let's go to Minnesota. I want to talk Sam Darnold because I love Sam Darnold. So do you think Sam Darnold
no.
can hold?
No, at the end. Okay, next. Sam Darnold, I finally last year preseason was a little bit thinking about Sam Darnold. I think he's the worst quarterback to come out of college. Like I was never a supporter. You can't tell me someone makes millions of dollars when they can't throw over this. They throw almost the same amount of interceptions and touchdowns in college. No, he sucks. JJ McCarthy, I'm not a believer in him much either. So good luck, Vikings. Justin Jefferson is gonna make so much money, but he ain't gonna win crap.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know.
That's right.
Like I said, I mean, do you think Darnold starts the season or do they go to McCarthy?
Ask Justin Jefferson. Like I think if I'm old school. I don't know how old school you are. I would love to see JJ set a year. I really would. Like I think that would really help him. I think that would really help Drake May. I mean, looking at the Vikings squad, I just don't. They're not a Super Bowl squad. But neither were the Chiefs. But the Chiefs played really well that year before with what broken leg name? Man, I'm bad on names.
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith.
Yeah, so I and kind of like the Patriots, I think they set Drake May as well. Like if you set those two guys, the learning curve is so much different. I mean, JJ McCarthy had so much talent around him in Michigan. I mean, you're not national championships based upon one dude, and here he's got two really good receivers, a top-notch tight end, an aging running back, and some other pieces here and there. He's gonna play. Does he beat out Darnold? Probably. Do I think it'd be better for Darnold to play this year? 100%.
I mean, yeah, I think if it looks even in camp, I would just go with McCarthy, put him in there. Why not? I mean, you drafted him to be a starting quarterback. I mean, if he looks just as good as Darnold, why not play him instead of Darnold? At least you know Darnold. You have a good backup if things happen. Darnold can come in and back you up for a game if you need to.
He looks really. He was really good.
Let's go to the AFC. Well, everybody's good in San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go to the AFC. Let's go to the AFC West. We'll start with the Cardinals. They drafted Marvin Harrison. Is he elite from the get-go? Like, is he like the guy? And there's no waiting.
Yes, I think so. Like, I think if he went other places, he might have. I mean, look what in JSN last year, he was supposed to be like the only one who's close to Marvin Harrison, but Harrison was better. JSN got in the worst situation. Marvin Harrison's here. They're throwing to nobody else. Michael Wilson and Zay Jones are not taking the ball from Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison could 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns is within the realm. I'd say plus is within the realm of possibility. I mean, Trey McBride might be the only guy that would steal touchdowns from him, right?
I think it sounds crazy. You said realm of possibility. I mean, I can see wide receiver one possibility here. Kyler Murray likes to throw the ball. I mean, he can throw the ball. So if Marvin Harrison goes in there and proves that that he's the man, I don't see why he can't have 1,800 yards and 14 touches, something crazy that makes him the wide receiver one. I'm all in on Marvin.
Have you seen the wide receiver room? Like you couldn't name more than like 2 or 3 guys in this room. Like there's 12 guys, and they're a bunch of guys I've never heard. And if Kyler Murray doesn't make him that good,
we could be talking 160 targets here, man. 170 targets. I mean, I throw it to him every time.
For the Cardinals, I hope not that they can get Michael Wilson and Zay Jones in for fantasy. I don't have Marvin Harrison, so I hope he doesn't do well. But I think he could easily get those numbers.
Oh yeah, let's go to
1,800, but I'll give him 16.
Oh, let's go to 16 and 14 touchdowns is still wide receiver one numbers. Let's go Seahawks. My favorite quarterback, Geno Smith. I do not like this guy at all. He finished his QB5 2 years ago, dropped way down to QB19 this year. They brought in Sam Howell. How long is it before Sam Howell overtakes Geno Smith?
Is this team bad? I don't like the receivers are good, the running backs are good, but just the
Same team
quarterback,
as last year.
it's so terrible. Like I just Gino and Sam Howell. Gino, I want to say I've read. I could be bonkers that I read that Gino. They said Gino, you got nothing to worry about. We're just going to teach Sam Howell this year. But if Gino's bad, why would you not play a guy that at least can run away from defenders? You know, I, I Gino was bad. I was on the Gino train finally, and he was bad last year.
Yeah, I never got on the Geno train. I mean, the first 8 years.
I wasn't far on. I was sitting on like a passenger car, but you know.
But yeah, I mean, he had that one good year. He got paid, so kudos to him. But yeah, I can't imagine if he might not even start this. He might not even be a starter for the season.
He'll start. But he's got money talks.
As soon as things go bad, I can't imagine them being like, "Hey, let's pull him and give it to Sam Howell." I mean, money talks, but only for this year. I mean, you're paying him already anyway. So I'm pretty sure you can get rid of him for $0 next year. So I mean, I give Geno Smith 6 games, and then I think we start seeing Howell after that. All right, so the last 2 teams. I'm gonna go wide receiver with both of them. Brandon Ayuk about to get paid, if not by the 49ers, by somebody. I can't imagine him going anywhere else.
So if numbers though,
who cares? They all are.
But he's what?
Who's not?
What the thing is, those other I don't know, man. I mean, he got 30. I don't know. He just doesn't. I don't know.
So it was wide receiver 15, wide receiver 13. And Michael Pittman hasn't been that good, and he's gotten paid. He's gotten 20. What? He got 21, 22 million.
He's asking for Amon-Ra money. Is what he's at. Ayuk wants to be Amon-Ra. He's not Amon-Ra.
He might not be, but is Tua Tagovailoa any of these quarterbacks, and you're praising that he gets all the money, right?
Statistically, he is. He's statistically, you throw for the most yards in a season. Ayuk had 7. Put those touchdowns. Give him 3 or 4 more touchdowns. Boom, he's right there. But he's not getting the touchdowns because they let Christian McCaffrey run for all of them. So if he goes somewhere else and gets paid, Ayuk's a top 10 player. In San Francisco, he's gonna stay right where he is. So that 12?
I mean, so are you saying he's not top 12, or you think he stays outside top 12?
He's right. The wide receiver is so good, and I just think because you also he's got a top if healthy a top Debo on his team too. That I can't put him in the top 12 in San Francisco. You send him somewhere else. Discussion changes. I think. I mean, he's big and talented.
All right, let's go to the Rams and your boy Puka Nacua. He was a wide receiver 4 as a rookie. Is he a top 8 wide receiver?
I want to say yes, but I don't want it to be because I like him so much. I mean, he's going to regress, right? Guys that have this, he could have had the best season of his career, 105. But if he goes down and catches some more touchdowns, I mean, Cooper Kupp stole some of those touchdowns. Whenever Cooper played, he seemed to score touchdowns. But I mean, is he top 8? Top 10? Yes. Top 8? Hopefully. I mean, I could see him being top 4. The kid looks good, but I don't know where the positive regression goes, where the ball goes. Are they going to run more this year? I mean, Kyron Williams is already hurt, so Blake Corum's they're telling him to learn to do everything. Does that mean they're going to sneak him in? I mean, there's no one behind him, so Cooper and him are going to score all the touchdowns. So he's easily top 10, depending upon Cooper's health. Like Cooper's healthy, I think he regresses more. Cooper's not healthy, I think he stays right where he is, maybe like top 6 or 7.
I think it's going to be interesting. Is he just that 1 year guy and then settles into like the lower mid wide receiver 2s, or is he that legit wide receiver? I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I mean, he got 160 targets last year. Can't imagine him getting more targets than that. That's a lot. And Cooper Kupp is going to get his still. So yeah, I can't imagine him being top 4. But like I said, I probably still kind of safe to be in the top 10. Yeah, so that was the last team.
Yeah, so that's the NFC. Everybody, we've done the whole league there. I'm sure we'll do it again because it's just fun to go through teams and spitball stuff that's going on. But yeah, if I were to ask you, JJ Wang, this Memorial Day weekend, one question: Who is the best? Who's going to win the Super Bowl next year? Just out of the
Who's
blue.
going to win? Oh, 49ers.
49ers? Are the Chiefs going to be there?
I think they'll be there. I mean, I don't know if they'll make this. I mean, they'll be there. I don't know if they're going to make the Super Bowl. I hope they don't make the Super Bowl. I want the 49ers to win. I mean, that's kind of like a homer pick. I mean, everybody's probably going to pick the 49ers, but I think the 49ers like 3 years in a row. I'm just going to keep picking them until I'm right. And if I'm never right, then I guess I'm never right.
And does that make Christian McCaffrey still the one quarterback number one player this year? Still?
I believe so. I mean, I don't think anything changes. Kyle Shanahan isn't going to change his game plan. I love Kyle Shanahan. I think Kyle Shanahan is awesome. So yeah, he's not going to change what he does best, and he's going to use Christian McCaffrey, and hopefully he uses Brandon Ayuk a little more.
Okay. Well, there you go. There's your wisdom. Give us some wisdom as we roll out. There we go.
Words of wisdom in dynasty leagues. I know you've gone this route before. I know you enjoy it, but if you deep in your heart believe that it's time to go all in and you think your team is good enough, don't hesitate to sell your draft picks. I mean, they're only draft picks. You can get them back very easily if things backfire and it ends up turning on you. You can easily get them back. But yeah, don't be afraid to go all in on your team if you think it's time. So as always, trust yourself and trust the process.